The step is small, too small to matter. A 300-pound man moves closer, close enough that his shadow swallows the space between them. The room tightens. Breathing changes. Someone laughs, then stops. Bruce Lee does not step back. He does not raise his hands. He does not explain himself. He does not look away. 8 seconds pass, but no one counts them yet. They only feel the pressure building where sound should be. The giant waits for resistance, for fear, for proof that size still decides how this ends. Bruce Lee gives him nothing, and in that nothing, the room begins to turn. Not loudly, not suddenly. By the time anyone understands what just shifted, the balance is already gone. The confrontation does not explode. It collapses. The step happens without warning. Not aggressive, not dramatic, just close enough to change the air. A heavy foot settles on the gym floor, and the sound travels farther than it should. The wooden boards answer back with a dull groan. Conversations thin out. Gloves stop hitting bags. Someone near the lockers lowers his voice mid-sentence and never finishes it. The man who stepped forward is large enough to redraw the space around him, shoulders wide, chest forward, breath slow and confident, like he expects the room to adjust on its own. People have done that for him before. They do it now without realizing it. Chairs shift back an inch. A bench scrapes. A laugh starts near the speed bag, then cuts off as if someone swallowed it. Bruce Lee stands where he was. No adjustment. No posture change. No signal that he notices what everyone else already feels. The distance between them is wrong, close enough that the size difference feels exaggerated, close enough that it becomes awkward not to react. The giant waits for that reaction. A step back, a raised hand, something that confirms the familiar order. Nothing comes. Bruce Lee looks up, not challenging, not passive. His eyes settle and stay, calm, present, unmoved by the weight in front of him or the eyes gathering behind it. His arms hang naturally at his sides, hands open, shoulders loose. The room begins to hold its breath. Someone near the ring clears his throat and immediately regrets it. The sound lands too loud. Another man reaches for a towel, stops halfway, and lets it fall back onto the ropes. The moment has not announced itself, but everyone knows they are inside it now. The giant shifts his weight, testing the ground. The floor answers again. He smiles, expecting fear to catch up, expecting silence to belong to him. Bruce Lee remains silent. Seconds stretch without names or numbers. Time slows in the way it does before accidents, before choices that cannot be taken back. The giant tilts his head slightly, studying the stillness in front of him. Something flickers across his face. Not doubt yet, something earlier. Confusion that does not know where to land. Bruce Lee does not fill the space. He lets it stay empty. And in that emptiness, the pressure changes direction. The room feels it before either man moves. The silence spreads outward. It reaches the far corners of the gym first, where the light is dimmer and the air smells heavier. A speed bag sways once, untouched, then settles. Chalk dust hangs in the air longer than usual. The rhythm that normally holds the place together is gone, replaced by a waiting that feels deliberate. People begin to realize they are part of this now. No one says it out loud, but bodies shift instinctively. A loose circle forms, not organized, not agreed upon, just distance opening where it should not. The space between Bruce Lee and the giant becomes the center of the room without permission. Eyes move back and forth. Some look at the size difference again, as if it might explain what they are feeling. Others study Bruce Lee more closely now. The calm, the lack of preparation, the absence of performance. This is not how confrontations usually look. There is no warming up, no pacing, no verbal fencing. The giant senses it too. He straightens slightly, rolling his shoulders once, the way men do when they want their bodies to speak for them. Muscles tighten. His breath grows louder, not from effort, but from expectation. He has been watched before. He knows how this part usually goes. The room belongs to him once attention settles. But something is off. Bruce Lee does not mirror him, does not brace, does not widen his stance or lower his center. He stays narrow, still, balanced without effort. His eyes do not roam the room. They do not search for approval or witnesses. They remain exactly where they are. On the giant, a man near the heavy bags crosses his arms, then uncrosses them, uncomfortable with his own tension. Another shifts his weight from one foot to the other, then freezes, realizing movement feels wrong right now. The gym has become a held breath, and no one wants to be the one who exhales first. The giant opens his mouth as if to speak, then closes it. The pause lands harder than words. Bruce Lee tilts his head slightly. Not in challenge, not in submission, just enough to acknowledge that the moment exists, that he sees it, that he is not avoiding it. The circle tightens without anyone stepping forward. Someone glances toward the door, then back again, as if checking whether escape is still possible. It is, technically. No one takes it. The giant's smile fades, not fully, just enough to show that something has shifted internally. He expected resistance by now, or fear, or at least noise. Instead, he has an audience watching him wait, and waiting was never the part he practiced. The room leans in, unknowingly choosing sides against its own habits. Nothing has happened yet, but everyone understands that something already has. The giant exhales through his nose, slow and deliberate, as if reminding himself who he is supposed to be here. This room knows him. These walls have watched him work. His size has always been enough. He grew into that understanding early. Big frame, heavy hands. Coaches noticed before they asked questions. Men moved aside without being told. Respect arrived before introductions. Over time, that respect hardened into something expected, something owed. When he entered a space, it shifted. When he spoke, people listened. When he stepped forward, others stepped back. That was the order. He had earned it through years of sweat and impact, through mornings that started before light and nights that ended with bruises blooming across his ribs, through proving again and again that his body could do what others could not. Size was not just advantage, it was language. It spoke for him when words failed, and words often failed him. He looks at Bruce Lee again, closer now, smaller than he expected. Narrow shoulders, hands relaxed, almost careless. No visible tension, no ritual, no armor. Nothing about him matches the image the giant has carried of threats. That is what bothers him. This man is not playing the role he recognizes. He is not defensive. He is not impressed. He is not loud. He is not trying to win the room. He is not trying at all. The giant shifts his stance, spreading his feet slightly, grounding himself. It feels good to reconnect with weight, with gravity, with the familiar promise that mass brings control. He wants that reassurance back. Wants the room to remember why it usually leans his way. Bruce Lee does not notice the adjustment, or he notices and does not acknowledge it. That is worse. A flicker of irritation surfaces, then something softer beneath it, not anger, uncertainty. It surprises him. He is not used to feeling it in places like this, not in front of witnesses, not when the rules should favor him so clearly. He glances around the circle that has formed, faces he knows, fighters he has trained, men who have seen him bleed and stand back up. Their expressions are different now, not hostile, not mocking, just attentive, curious, waiting. For him, the pressure shifts inward. He realizes with a quiet jolt that he has been handed the next move, that the silence has placed responsibility on his shoulders. If this moment collapses, it will collapse from him stepping too far or not far enough. Bruce Lee still has not spoken, still has not moved, still has not given him anything to push against. The giant swallows, jaw tightening as pride and uncertainty press against each other. He steps half an inch closer, testing the boundary. The distance closes, the imbalance sharpens, the room holds. He opens his mouth, ready to reclaim control with words, and the silence dares him to mean them. The words land harder than he intends, not shouted, not theatrical, just loud enough to claim the space. They cut through the silence and echo once off the far wall before settling back into the room. A few heads tilt instinctively, gauging reaction. This is the sound they recognize. The sound of a challenge stated, not suggested. The giant watches Bruce Lee closely after he speaks. This is the moment he expects the shift, the flinch, the explanation, the posture change that signals escalation. He has seen it hundreds of times. The instant when men realize they are being tested and scramble to decide how they want to be seen, Bruce Lee does not give him that moment. He does not answer right away. The pause is brief, but it stretches long enough to feel intentional. Long enough to unsettle, Bruce Lee's expression remains unchanged. Calm, open. His eyes do not harden, but they do not soften either. They stay present, unblinking, as if he is listening to something beneath the words. The room reacts before the giant does. A trainer near the ring shifts his stance, widening it unconsciously. Another man's fingers tighten around the rope, then loosen. Someone lets out a slow breath they did not realize they were holding. The sound is quiet, but it carries. Bruce Lee finally speaks. His voice is low, even unhurried. Not a rebuttal, not a defense, just a response. He acknowledges the challenge without inflating it, does not mock it, does not diminish it. He allows it to exist as it is, and nothing more. There is no edge in his tone, no attempt to dominate the exchange. The restraint is precise, almost surgical. The giant feels it immediately. This is not how power exchanges are supposed to work. Words are meant to escalate, to corner, to force reactions. Instead, his challenge has been absorbed and set down gently, like something fragile. He steps forward again, closer now, frustration tightening his jaw. The distance between them is almost gone. Close enough that he can feel Bruce Lee's breath, close enough that the size difference feels unavoidable. Bruce Lee does not retreat. He does not advance either. He stands exactly where he is, hands still open at his sides, shoulders relaxed. His presence does not harden to meet the pressure. It remains unchanged, and that consistency begins to feel like defiance. The giant realizes the room is watching him again, not Bruce Lee, waiting to see what he will do with the space he has forced open. The silence returns, thicker now, weighted. This time it does not feel neutral. It feels like a line that has already been crossed. The giant hesitates. It is not a full stop, just a fraction of one. But in a room like this, that fraction is visible. His shoulders remain squared, his feet planted, yet something in his timing slips. The certainty that carried him forward a moment ago no longer arrives on schedule. He becomes aware of his own breathing, of how loud it sounds, of how close everyone is standing. Bruce Lee notices none of this. Or he notices and chooses not to acknowledge it. He lowers his gaze briefly, not in submission, but in consideration. A small movement, easy to miss. Those closest catch it anyway. It looks like a decision being weighed, not announced. His hands remain open, his fingers relax further, if that is possible. There is no tightening anywhere in his body. The giant reads this wrong. He takes the stillness as invitation, as opportunity, as a gap meant to be filled. His weight shifts forward, committing this time, not a rush, not yet, just enough to signal intent. The room responds immediately. A collective intake of breath, a chair leg, scrapes softly against the floor as someone leans back. Bruce Lee lifts his eyes again. They meet. Nothing dramatic happens. No stance drops. No guard rises. No warning appears. The pause deepens. This is the moment that will live on its own, the kind that can be lifted out of time and replayed without explanation. Two men standing close enough to touch, one waiting to act, one waiting to choose whether action is necessary. Bruce Lee chooses stillness, not frozen, not passive, deliberate. The giant feels the decision before he understands it, a sudden awareness that he has committed himself to motion while the man in front of him has committed to nothing at all. The imbalance is subtle, but it is there, like leaning too far forward without realizing the ground has shifted. Bruce Lee exhales once, slow, controlled. It is the only sound he makes. The giant reacts to it instinctively, as if the breath itself has changed the air between them. His muscles tense, preparing for impact that has not been promised. His mind races to catch up with his body, to justify what he is about to do. Around them, the room tightens again. Eyes widen. No one speaks. No one interrupts. Even the machines seem to hum quieter, as if aware of the threshold being crossed. Bruce Lee does not move first, but the moment makes it clear, someone will. And whatever happens next will not be undone. The giant moves. It is not the charge everyone expects, not the wild rush born of anger. It is controlled, practiced. A step in, a shoulder dip. Weight transferring forward with intention. The kind of movement that has ended conversations before they could finish. The room recognizes it instantly. Someone flinches. Another man's hand lifts halfway, then drops, realizing it is too late to intervene. Bruce Lee does not step back. He does not step sideways. He steps into the space that should not exist. The motion is small, almost dismissible. A shift that happens inside the giant's movement, not around it. To anyone watching, it looks like Bruce Lee disappears for a fraction of a second, not by speed alone, but by timing. He is no longer where the giant's commitment expects him to be. Contact happens without violence. An open hand settles against the giant's center, not striking outward, but inward. The touch is brief, precise, quiet. There is no wind-up, no sound that announces force. Just a dull, contained impact that does not echo. The effect is immediate. The giant's breath leaves him all at once, not in pain but in surprise. His body locks for a fraction of a second as his diaphragm betrays him. Air vanishes. Power follows. The weight he trusted so completely turns against him. Bruce Lee Sepp's foot moves next. Low, efficient, barely visible. It hooks behind the giant's leg at the exact moment his balance is already gone. Not a kick, not an attack, a redirection. The physics of the fall decide themselves. The giant goes down hard. The sound shakes the floor. Dust rises. A water bottle tips and rolls until it hits the wall and stops. The impact echoes once, then disappears into a silence so complete it feels unnatural. No one moves. The giant lies on his back, eyes wide, chest heaving without result. His hands claw briefly at the mat before settling. Confusion spreads across his face faster than fear. He tries to sit up, fails, and stays still. Bruce Lee is already kneeling beside him. Not triumphant, not hurried, present. He places a steady hand near the giant's shoulder, not restraining, just grounding. His voice, when it comes, is low and calm, meant only for the man in front of him. Breathe slowly. You are not injured. It will pass. The giant draws in a shallow breath. Then another color returns to his face. His eyes flick toward Bruce Lee, searching for something he does not yet have words for. Around them, the room remains frozen. 8 seconds have passed. No one is counting. They are too busy realizing that something irreversible has already happened. The room exhales late, not together. Not cleanly. One breath breaks the silence. Then another, shoes shift. Someone clears his throat and winces at the sound. The giant sits up slowly now, guided more by instinct than strength. His hands rest on the mat, palms flat, as if the floor itself has become something unfamiliar. Bruce Lee stays close without hovering. He gives space, but not distance. His posture remains relaxed, almost ordinary, as if nothing remarkable has occurred. That normalcy unsettles the witnesses more than the fall did. They expected aftermath, noise, claiming. Instead, they are left with quiet care. The giant finally finds his breath. It comes back unevenly at first, then steadies. His eyes focus again, this time clearer, sharper. He looks down at his hands, flexes his fingers, then looks up at Bruce Lee. The question forms before the words do. What just happened? He does not ask it out loud. He does not need to. Bruce Lee meets his gaze and gives a small nod. Not approval, not dismissal. Recognition. As if to say the moment has already passed and does not need to be chased. The giant pushes himself to his feet with help. He does not refuse. When he stands, the room adjusts again, but differently now. The weight is still there. The size has not changed. What has shifted is how it lands. Eyes no longer track him the same way. They drift back to Bruce Lee instead. Not with awe, with curiosity, with the quiet recalibration that follows something witnessed, but not fully understood. The giant notices this. He turns once, slowly, taking in the faces around him. Men who have known him for years. Men who have moved when he moved. None of them are smiling. None of them are mocking him. Their expressions are thoughtful, processing, respectful in a way that feels new. He swallows. Bruce Lee steps back then. Just one pace, creating space without abandoning it. The gesture is subtle, but it gives the giant something important back, ownership of himself, of the room, of the choice of what comes next. No one speaks. The silence is different now, not tense, not waiting, changed. Bruce Lee turns slightly. Not fully away, just enough to signal that the confrontation is complete. He does not look for acknowledgement. He does not stay to explain. He simply begins to leave the center of the room the way he entered it, calm, unclaimed. Behind him, the giant remains standing, breathing evenly, watching the space Bruce Lee no longer occupies. Understanding does not arrive, but acceptance does. The gym does not return to normal, not right away. People try. Gloves go back on, a bag gets tapped once, then twice, as if rhythm alone might reset what just shifted. It does not work. Movements feel louder now, less certain. Every sound echoes against the memory of what happened in the center of the room. The giant sits on a bench near the ring, towel draped over his shoulders. He does not hide. He does not posture. He watches the space where Bruce Lee stood a few moments ago. Not replaying it, not dissecting it, just acknowledging that it exists in him now. Bruce Lee is near the door, speaking quietly with the man who brought him. No excitement, no victory energy. His hands move once as he gestures toward the floor, then settle again at his sides. Calm never left him. Someone enters the gym late. A familiar presence, recognized immediately, even without announcement. Conversations stall again, softer this time. The newcomer takes in the scene with trained eyes. The loosened circle, the dust still hanging in the air. The giant seated, thoughtful, instead of dominant. He asks what he missed. No one answers at first. Then the giant speaks, voice steady, stripped of bravado. He says only what matters. He says it was fast. He says it was quiet. He says he did not see it coming. He says it changed how the room felt. The newcomer looks at Bruce Lee differently now. Not as spectacle, not as rumor, as something precise. Bruce Lee meets the look and offers nothing in return. No explanation, no demonstration. He does not perform for the moment. He simply inclines his head, acknowledging respect without collecting it. The newcomer smiles slowly, unsettled in a way he does not often allow himself to be. He says nothing more. He does not ask for proof. He does not test it. He understands that some things lose their power when chased. Bruce Lee steps outside. The door closes softly behind him. Inside, the gym resumes its work, but something has been altered at the edges. Size still matters. Strength still matters. But so does timing. So does restraint. So does the space someone refuses to fill. The giant stands once more. Shoulders squared. Towel removed. He looks the same. He is not. And that change does not announce itself. It stays.